Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for joining us this evening for tonight's Technology Industry Employer Panel. My name is Corey White. I'm Employer Relations Partner for the West Coast for the Career Services Department here at Southern New Hampshire University. And I'm joined by some awesome folks this evening, so you're in for a real treat. I have with me my co-host who's going to be in the background and in the chat. So if you have questions, please use the chat function and we will take note of that. And once we get to the Q&A portion, we'll be able to pull on those questions. So Daisy Gillum, she is on the same team as myself. We also have our moderator for this evening with the panel is my colleague and friend, Tyra Davey. She is the Associate Dean of STEM Science. And just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. So your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is very important to us. It is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of this presentation's design or delivery that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the following for the OAC. You can email them at oac@snhu.edu or by phone. And for campus students, you can email cac@snhu.edu. And for staff and faculty at hr@snhu.edu. Also, feel free to connect with us after this session if you have questions regarding resumes, how to network, kind of what that next step is for you in your career journey with us while you're here getting your degree at Southern New Hampshire University. You can reach out to our department at cocecareer@snhu.edu. Or by phone at 888-672-1458. Also, feel free to get on Handshake. That's our premier platform where our employers that we're working with put their job opportunities and internships available for our students to take a look at. We also put our events up there as well. So as you're joining today, if you could just make sure your mic is on mute, we will have time at the end for Q&A, but it is we want to limit those distractions for the panel portion of tonight's presentation. So with that, the agenda for tonight, we're going to introduce all of our panelists that are here with us tonight. And then we're going to get into the moderated portion of this evening, moderated by Tyra Davey. And then again, at the end, we'll open it up for Q&A. Once we get to that point, feel free to, if you're not comfortable coming off of the mic and asking your question directly to the panel, you can ask it in the chat. If you are comfortable, use that raise hand feature up at the top that you're able to raise your hand, and we can actually call on you one by one. First come, first serve. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague and friend, Tyra Davey. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Corey. So as Corey mentioned, we're going to start with a few introductions. So excited for everyone joining us this evening. So Samantha, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do in your day-to-day work.
Yeah, sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Taranum, and I'm working with Chevron Corporation at this moment. And I'm working as an analyst, and I work with the IT team. My daily work is I work with the global IT team, and we have software and hardware issues. We also go through every software issues like SAP. Then Chevron has some more oil-related softwares too. So we work on those softwares, and we also we also work on for the software development programs and all those things. And besides, that's all I do in my daily work at this moment. And besides this, I'm a student of SNHU, and I'm doing my cybersecurity in master's in cybersecurity and IT management. Yeah, I'm sorry, and yeah, that's all about me. And thank you for inviting me for this student panel. And I'm really, I'm sorry, employer panel. And yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Samantha. It's great that you're here. Next, we have Mona, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, of course. My name is Mona. I got my master's degree at SNHU. I graduated 2014, master degree in information technology with concentration in database design. I'm working at Autodesk. If you're not familiar with Autodesk, we are known mostly for AutoCAD, Maya, Revit, 3ds Max, mostly softwares that you can use to do 3D designing. Now that's whatever you're seeing around you, the car, the device, the bridges, building, all of those had to be designed in 3D before they get to production. And we develop and deliver those softwares. Currently, I'm senior manager at Autodesk, and as part of day-to-day work that Tara, you asked, as a manager, it's really hard to find the pattern, but if I wanted to share the pattern that we have is a lot of meetings for managers, conflict resolution, a lot of coaching with my team, providing feedback to my team, monitoring the performance as a team, but also monitoring the performance of our products, operational review, and a lot of strategic work, defining goals for our product, for our team and organization, defining metrics and monitoring all of those.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Next, I'll have Zen introduce himself.
My name is Zen Williams. I am a cybersecurity engineer working for a company called RadNet, which is a third-party provider of radiological services throughout the West Coast, and we are expanding to the South and the East, like growing rapidly. My day-to-day is never the same. I could spend one day training individual users on how to recognize a phishing email, and I could spend the next day troubleshooting a potential security incident, and I could spend the next day after that giving a briefing to our CISO on a current initiative on how to increase our cybersecurity awareness across the organization. And one of my things I love to do is being able to take complex cybersecurity or IT related ideas and putting them into terms that even a layman can understand, because that is a very important part of my job, making sure that the people who need to know what's going on knows what's going on without having to listen to a lot of techno, I don't want to call it techno babble, but basically it's techno babble, because when people get together, we talk in IT speak.
That is so important, Zen. I totally agree. Thank you so much for sharing. And last but not least on our panel this evening is Jim.
Great, thank you for having me. Certainly glad to be here. So educational journey is quite a little bit unique. I started years ago and took a short hybrid to allow the start of a career and family post, and did that for a while, and obviously critical, and then came back to Southern New Hampshire in 18 to finish my degree in business, and then pursued right after that my master's in information technology. So I've worked in the healthcare industry, similar to Zen. I would say my day is never the same. It's never boring and it's never dull. A lot of translation between patients, physicians, clinicians, business, because we all have different vernacular we use and different acronyms, so a lot of translation. But you know, a lot of normal things: staff management, budget management, infrastructure lifecycle, and architectural designing for the enterprise, and just capital planning and financial work as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here with us, Jim. So now we'll move on to the moderated portion. So I have a few questions for you all, and I'll kind of tap you each on the shoulder and just get your perspectives and your experiences. So the first question, I'm going to go back to Samantha. If you could describe your educational background, I know you mentioned as an SNH2 alum, and how you landed where you are now. What are some key aspects that led you to your current role in your career journey?
So I actually done my bachelor in electrical engineering, but after my bachelor, I decided to switch to the IT. So I have done several certifications courses, and then I started working in IT field. So I have worked almost, I think before joining SNHU, I worked almost 3 years. So after that, I decided, I mean, I'm doing the software development work right now, but my future plan is to move to the cyber sector. So that's when I decided to study about cybersecurity, and I realized that I also need to know about IT management. So that's how I chose this subject, and then I ended up joining to SNHU.
Excellent. And can you tell us about how you landed your first position?
I'm sorry?
Could you tell us a little bit more about how you landed your first position, what that process was like?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing, I developed my skills, and as I was a bachelor in electrical engineering, I had no IT background before. So I have done a lot of certification at first. Then I joined several courses. I have done Python, I have done Sequence, I have done cloud. Cloud networking, a lot of certifications, and then I went for an entry-level job. So when I went to the entry-level job, they hired me, and I was in 3-month training on that with that company. So with that, after the training, I had to went through some tests too. So I had to qualify for that entry role position, and then I was after that I was on job training, and then that's how I started my IT career, because my background wasn't IT at all. So yeah, that's all about me.
Excellent. It's great when they can offer on the job training. So thank you so much for sharing and telling us a little bit about your experience. I'm going to pass the same question to Mona next. You can tell us a little bit about kind of your educational background and how you landed the position that you're in currently.
Yeah, of course. My bachelor degree and master degree were in information technology with a little bit different concentration. One was more on web development and a front end, and then the other was more on database and infrastructure. Actually, also this is the first job I landed after graduation from SNHU. I mean, there was no secret sauce. I just started applying for a lot of jobs. I started early simply just because I couldn't risk it. I was on student visa, and student visas, we don't have a lot of time to find job, like at a time at least. You have 90 days that you can find a job. So I started early, and I applied for a lot of jobs. I interviewed with a lot of companies. I revised my resume. I applied for more, and I continued doing that until I landed a job. I actually got the job at Autodesk, not the position that I applied for initially, but just because my resume was in their database, they found a different match for me in a title that I didn't know it exists, or it can be a potential match for my background. I was looking mostly for software development, web development positions, but I was hired as a technical consultant at Autodesk, which does a lot of programming, but also work with customers. So it was a good mix of business and programming, meeting with customers, understanding what they need, and then coming back and programming and developing something to deliver for them. So this is how I got to Autodesk, and then 10 years at Autodesk, I was able to move around and get to the position I am today. I've been part of the sales organization, product side of the company, engineering side of the company, and management side of the company.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mona. Yeah, it's kind of when the right thing comes up at the right time, it all kind of falls into place. So thank you so much for sharing and your experience at Autodesk. I'll ask the same question of Zen about kind of your educational background and how you landed the position that you're in currently. Thanks.
My educational background is after I left high school, I joined the U.S. military. I was in the Army, stationed in Massachusetts at Fort Devens. I'm originally from Louisiana. And once I got out of the military, I was a double major in physics and chemistry. But when you ask how I got into computers, you have to roll it back to when I was a kid. My first computer was a Commodore 64. That I loved computers. It just didn't occur to me when I was going to college that someone would pay me to actually do this. That I started probably where 90% of like IT people start. I started on a help desk. I went from the help desk, I went to become a systems guy. From a systems guy, I went to being a network guy. And once I was a network guy, all of those movies that you watched in the late 90s, hacker this, hacker that, that's what I wanted to do. So everything that I had did up until my first cybersecurity role was getting enough of that background in order to be able to get that first cybersecurity role. That I'm a CISSP, I'm a CCSP, and I'm a CEH. And I love collecting certs, but I love being hands-on and touching. There's no substitute for loving what you do. And I will tell you, especially in the cybersecurity field, if you don't love doing it, it will burn you out because there is just so many things that are outside of your control. And you are having so many internal conflicts with not only people who are malicious actors, but also your own organization. And once you learn to navigate that and you start loving that, it it's a joy. And I do enjoy doing it every single day, even on the bad days.
Excellent. Well, first, thank you for your service, Zen. Really appreciate it. And what a great story to hear, kind of, learning the ropes at each phase and just broadening kind of your experience. And it's great to hear that you continue with that professional development with the certifications. And then last but not least, I'm going to pass it to Jim. Same question, another SNH-U alum, and tell us about your educational background and how you landed the position that you're in today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually despise computers and technology. My original goal was to be an accountant and go into the financial field. And I really put off in my early years as I was pursuing my accounting degree, my one computer class that I had to take. And I actually took it. I had no choice. And actually finished 2 semesters of COBOL within inside of 2 weeks. And the professor just came up to me and said, "You will change your major." And I did. It was something I love to do. I love software development. I still do it today. It's a way for me to relax. And I really started in that area. I ran software development for a hospital information system vendor. And the company, Baptist Health, who I'm with now, was actually one of my customers. And through a series of events, I came to Baptist and have been here for the last 17 years in various roles. And I think the biggest thing is doing different things, starting where the path took me and seizing the opportunity to move forward, and really the passion around technology. Similar, Zen, you hit it, and Mona, you as well. Do what you love, and if you don't love it, it will eat you up. And it's really a passion. And I've just progressed through the organization, and the educational journey came back around as I needed to complete some things left undone to continue my advancement, and came back to Southern New Hampshire and did that. And then finished my master's more for myself in software development, because I truly love that, and tearing apart computers and writing code and solving problems.
Excellent. What an interesting story from accountant to just to technology. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I'm hearing a lot of common themes communication, problem solving, all the things that really go into a career in these fields. Next question, I'm going to keep it open-ended for the four of you. Whoever wants to jump in. What advice would you offer to students who are looking to break into the field, whether it's volunteering or internships or different courses, networking, something that you might know now that you wish someone would have told you earlier in your career?
I'll go ahead and dive in.
Please, yeah.
I would say networking and use your relationships. It's probably something I woefully underplayed, your connections. And just, taking what's available and leveraging your network. You know somebody who may know somebody, and it's okay to ask, and you may get turned down 4 or 5 times, but it only takes once to say yes and get your foot in the door and move forward.
I'll also add that I wish LinkedIn was actually a thing when I first started my career. It is an amazing resource, an amazing tool for you to use. And another thing that I will say for your career is don't be shy about doing that job that everyone else seems to be shying away from, like that roll up your sleeves and get down and dirty, because it could be something that you just fall in love with. And even if it's not, it'll provide you with certain types of understanding and backgrounds of the inner workings of things that will prove invaluable later on.
Excellent advice.
I would suggest. Sorry.
Please go ahead, Samantha.
No, it's okay. You go ahead. It's okay. I'll just.
Okay. So definitely networking was also my number one, but because that's already shared, I'm going to maybe point out that if you do have a certain goal, like you have any specific position or even specific company that you are targeting, don't think that it's really a straight line, that you have to go from where you are to that position. A lot of time, the line can be you have to move laterally. You have to even step down in some position to get there. You have to look at the goal that you have as the destination you want to get, and then you have to identify what are the position in between that you have to get, including internship, including some maybe smaller companies, or a title that maybe is not exactly what you want, but it's a title that having that on your resume is gonna prepare you for that ultimate position. So nothing really is that I want this goal and this is where I have to go. Is more of this is my goal and what are the steps I have to take to get there. Just look at it that way.
So I would like to suggest, like, if somebody has told me before, it's that IT is very big. So I would suggest people, the students, to choose the fields, like few of 5 to 6 fields, and build your skills on that, and also go and read on the job descriptions what they was asking for, and try to build yourself on those description, like I can fit into there or not. So that's really important. I think people might think like, yeah, she's doing great, but inside I'm maybe also struggling to get better. So there is no end of getting better. So we always have to get we always have to build our skills. I always have to look up. So yeah, that's all I want to suggest to everyone.
Fantastic advice. Thank you all. This is very helpful to share just from your own personal experiences of what networking has looked like, how you've kind of managed to get the positions that you're in, that it's not a straight path, and, kind of lean into those tougher projects and those things that you might not anticipate enjoying. Thank you so much. My next question I'm gonna ask to everyone. So we'll start with you again, Samantha. What are a few essential skills, whether they're hard skills or soft skills, that help to drive success in the industry, specifically in your field and the work that you do?
So I think both are important, because in a business and in a big field, with the soft skills is important, because we need to interact with people. So we need to know how to handle people, how to talk, how to go, how to arrange the presentations and all those, and that's very important. And also in IT, technical knowledge is very important. And in IT, there is every day something to learn. So it's not like I know everything. I know this moment, the next moment there is something new. There's something else coming up. There's updates. Like the software updates, our brains needs to update too. So yeah, so I think every day we have to work on ourselves. That's very important. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, that continuous improvement. I'm going to pass it to Zen next because you mentioned some certifications and things just in that continuous improvement and growth in a field that's constantly changing. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, like I know it's going to be kind of cliche, but in cybersecurity, your absolute best skill is common sense. That you would think it's the ability to code some new super seam that's going to catch every piece of data coming through and catch the bad guys. It's common sense. Like back in the day, the Nigerian prince had a really bad, like his grammar was terrible, his spelling was terrible. Now with AI, like his English is impeccable, but you have to be able to catch those things because I think the current statistic is 85% of all cyber breaches start with a phishing email these days. It's the ability to have common sense, and it's part being a psychologist. Like you have to be able to talk to people in a way where cybersecurity isn't the enemy. We're not the bad guy. We're all on it. Because like I've walked up to people's desk and had them start crying just because I was there. And that's not the type of relationship you want with them. You want them to say, hey, you know what? Look, I created this awesome password. Let's see if you can crack it. I'm like, okay, you want them engaged in that and to feel good about being secure. And even the ability to give them skills that they will be able to use in their everyday life. That I conduct cybersecurity trainings on an almost weekly basis. And I feel good when someone walks up to me and say, you know what, my bank called me this morning and the call felt kind of funny and I went in and I checked and someone was trying to hack. Makes me feel great. It feels awesome. So, and the last skill that I think you would need to be able to develop is the ability to communicate with someone who's like, I don't want to be cliche again, but holding the purse strings. That there is that fine line between how you want to set up your infrastructure and the things that you want to do versus the reality of the budget that you're going to have to be able to command to take care of those things. And sometimes you have to be able to talk in that language. There's a reason why every piece of software that I've ever worked for reporting has a thing called the executive summary. You make things pretty, you make things flashy, and you be able to communicate with them in a way that gets your point across to be able to do your job because it's not all technical abilities. That we have AI that can do some of those technical things, but being able to talk to an executive and convince him why this project needs to move forward is just as important as knowing how a piece of software works or why it works.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Zen. Yeah, logic, relationship building, be able to communicate with many different people. I'm curious to hear Mona's perspective as well from a kind of a manager and management side of things as well.
For management, I guess there are more softer skills than they are the technical or hard skills. Networking is gonna be the fixed soft skill that you should have regardless of your role or the company that you're in. Those relationships you build at your company are going to help you not only the time that you're at the company, but the time that you're going to leave your company. But beside that, as a manager, definitely conflict resolution is another soft skill that is critical. Goal setting, problem solving, and being visionary, being able to not compromise the short-term wins over the long-term vision and goals, and find the right balance for that.
Excellent. That's great advice. Yeah, kind of rounding everything out there in terms of the conflict resolution piece. Thank you, Mona. And then Jim, I'd love to hear your thoughts on kind of some of the essential skills that you find that are helpful in the workplace, either for yourself or folks that you work really closely with.
Yeah, for myself, I think communication skills, being able to take complex technologies and break them down into an elevator pitch that your CFO is going to spend probably 15 to 20 seconds on before it just goes over their head, right? So being able to break it down, clear, concise, an executive summary is a great way to put it, right? A PowerPoint slide deck, 2 or 3 bullets that conveys the message. Being able to speak to all levels, right? Being able to work with your finance peers to talk through the budget impacts of a project, but also understand the financials so that as you're negotiating, transactions, you're negotiating from the best position you can be. For team members, we're looking for, some of the skills, around the technology background. It doesn't necessarily have to be in what we need, but if you can develop software, the language becomes secondary, right? I can teach a new language. What I can't teach is that critical thinking or that cultural fit and feel and the understanding of the mission. So we look for a lot of that. How do you blend into healthcare? Because healthcare is about the patient and serving, something bigger than yourself, where you may want to go somewhere and pursue, finance and other things, and that's awesome as well. So we spend a lot of time on the fit and feel, the cultural side, and then we'll teach the hard skill of whether it's Ansible or Python or X or Y that we need done.
It's great to hear about those transferable skills, right? As you can learn a language as long as you've got kind of the background and that foundation. And then just the translating information is another thing that I hear is kind of a common theme, is really being able to communicate with a number of different audiences. So thank you so much for sharing your advice and insights. We've got one last question for the moderated side of things, and then we'll open up for Q&A. I'm going to go back and kind of go round robin again to Samantha. What are some current or foreseeable trends that you see in the technology industry? And, what's your perspective on the industries that students should be aware of or know about in the next few years?
I think it's the AI. It's taking people's job. So we need to be like really smart so that actually we can compete AI. So in my job, so there was like a service desk job, but now there is a smart desk machine over there, and it's actually a AI which is working over there. So I think in next few years we need to be really, really very smart, and you need to actually, we need to be able to control AI so that AI will be like dependent on us. At this stage, I'm seeing that AI is taking people's jobs. So yeah, we have to be really smart and very smart in that sector.
That's great insight. Samantha, what does AI look like in your current job in the day-to-day, in addition to kind of having kind of the smart desk?
So it's like a computer, it's like a screen, and people they can talk. I mean, they can just like Alexa, they can just talk and it's just replying. And suppose people need a loaner laptop, this like I need a loaner laptop, and the AI is giving them a code, and they just enter the code, and there is a locker that just opened. So that's how they're getting the loaner laptops. Or they're having some, the laptop is broken, they need to swap it out. So that's how they just get the replacement. So, but before that, people used to work. I mean, there was people assigned to those jobs. People used to swap it out for them. But now there was an AI. It's just a screen which is taking their job. Like people got laid off because of that. So I think we need to be really smart, and I think people should be smart in a way that we need people to control AI. AI shouldn't be controlled to us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard examples so much of like hardware, being, helped out with AI, or software sorts of things. So it's interesting perspective. Thanks so much for sharing. How about you, Mona? What are the foreseeable trends and impacts to your current work, and what do you see kind of in the technology industry coming forward?
I have slightly different perspective toward AI. AI is still very new, and there's a chance that it's going to become huge, or again, it's going to go silent like it did years ago until another new shiny thing. I think it's very important to educate ourselves in that area, but I don't necessarily think I don't see it as a threat to our jobs. I just see it changing the type of job that is needed. It's very unfortunate that people that, for example, in the locker situation, they lose their job, but then in order to have that screen, there's going to be a lot of other technicians that they have to be hired to maintain that, to update it, to upgrade it, to all of that, right? So it's just changing the way we do work, but not necessarily eliminating the need, at least not in near future. Currently, AI is very expensive. It's actually cheaper to do certain work with human today than it is if you want to do it with AI. So I think it's very important to acknowledge the changes that is coming with AI and how that can impact your job and how you can get ahead of it. If your job is the type of job that can be replaced by AI, what other jobs would be generated as the result, and if there is any opportunity for you to get ahead of that and learn that path to be able to support that.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that perspective, Mona. It's super helpful. And then Jim, what does this look like in your industry in terms of healthcare and technology, both AI and other kinds of trends that you see? I'm sure security is an aspect as well. So I'm excited to hear Sen's perspective after. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Security is a huge aspect. We're very target rich, without a doubt, from all the medical data. AI has a couple dynamics for us. So we obviously look at it from an operations perspective. How can I engage my customer, which are the users, better? How can I be more predictive? Some machine learning. The desire is on the clinical side, but that's also the biggest risk and the most problematic from a governance perspective. Hallucination is a huge issue, especially when you're talking about someone's life and a treatment plan. So controlling that large, the LLM is certainly a key aspect of that. So, we have a governance process around that. We don't allow ChatGPT and some other things because of the dynamics of the patient, the clinician, and that. So we're trying to vet that out. But I see it more on the operation side, without a doubt. We'll leverage it for improving the business, streamlining the business. We have numerous open positions all the time. So we don't see it decreasing our staff that we have in house. It's augmenting the openings that we do have so that we can be more effective.
Really interesting to hear from kind of the business perspective of how that's being used. Thank you so much. And then Zen, this is where I'm sure, in terms of cybersecurity, we're just going to see more and more issues and bad actors. So I'm curious, trends in technology in your frame of reference. I'm very interested to hear more.
Well, like I hate to keep beating on the AI drum, but it's big. I don't look at it from a gloom and doom perspective. Like when you're in cybersecurity, you can spend a lot of time looking for a needle in a haystack. And if something can help me find that needle faster, more power to me. It makes me more effective. The issue when it comes to AI, as far as I'm concerned, and the general trend across the board is ransomware and state-sponsored bad actors. So you have a significant amount of North Korea's GDP is based on cyber attacks. So you have other countries and other like groups that are not only looking to make money off of your organizations, they're looking to hurt you as a part of an attack on America and an attack on any other thing that. So from that perspective, a few years ago, if you wanted to hurt another country, you had to go over there and you had to drop bombs on them. Now you mess with their water supply, you shut off their electricity, that you destroy their ability to provide health care to their populace. So defending against people who are well funded and highly motivated is the latest trend. This isn't some guy drinking a yoo-hoo sitting in his basement, in his parents' basement, like trying to make money off of you. These are people who are well funded, like I said, looking to either hurt you because they just want to see the world burn, or looking to make money and real significant money off of your organization. And I kind of like, I don't want to say I like that back and forward, but the fact that on a daily basis, I'm being tested by people who are highly motivated in their jobs keeps me highly motivated to do my job.
What a way to wrap it up, Sen. I appreciate that very much. Because my final question to you is going to be, you know, how do you keep your head above water with all of that going on, and kind of being able to look into the future there. So thank you so much to each panelist. We really appreciate your time and your responses and shared perspectives to each of the moderated questions. I am going to pass it back to my colleague and friend, Corey, who's going to help us out with some Q&A from the folks who are able to either jump in via chat or raise their hand in Teams. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tyra and panelists. So it looks like we already have some folks raising their hand. So feel free to please go ahead and do that if you'd like to come off of mute and ask your question directly to our panelists. So we'll start and kind of go down the line here. And then once we get through those, I'll jump into, we had a lot of questions in the chat. So if you know, we can get there, we will make it happen. So away we go. Justin Hamar, you're first. Go ahead and come off mute and ask your question to the panelists.
Yes, hi, good evening. Thank you for taking my question. I was kind of encouraged to attend this by my career advisor. I'm a SNHU alumni, and I actually currently have my master's degree in cybersecurity from Western Governors University. My question to everyone here is, obviously the past year, it's been very volatile in the cybersecurity, vendor space. I actually graduated back in 2021. Took on my first role as a solutions engineer at BeyondTrust, and then transferred over to ForgeRock, which is subsequently merged with Ping Identity. So unfortunately, I've been out of work since probably last April. Been trying to find new roles and things of that nature. Been interviewing at lots of places, but it just seems like there's a flood of security professionals and sales engineers in the market that's making it really competitive, but also very challenging to find a place to land. Do you guys have any advice, or where do you see kind of the trends and markets going, for sales engineer or security engineer type of roles?
Whoever wants to jump in on that, feel free to take that one.
So I'll take a swing at it first. So, like, I have a few friends who are sales engineers, and there's been a lot of shift in the industry, a lot of change and movements and perseverance. That they're there. I think I think the industry is finding its equilibrium at the moment, and it's only a matter of time until that comes back around. That the need for cybersecurity isn't going to go away. That what will make you stand out more than anything else is when I say, like, when you're in cybersecurity, you can be anything. CI/CD pipeline. That you can be like phishing. You can be a pen tester. So find the part of it that you enjoy and get certifications in that area. Like, show that you are a specialist in that, whether it be cloud, because cloud was like really big, but now it seems that they're pulling back from the cloud and people are keeping more stuff in a hybrid environment due to the cost of being out in the cloud. So find where in security you can find your niche, and focus toward that area, but not losing focus on over specializing. You want to understand how all the pieces fit together, but you want to be able to shine in one area.
So Zen, just to follow up on what you've said, obviously, like everyone else, I kind of started on the help desk, and then also, did various things in sales prior to getting all my IT certifications. I do have my CompTIA, the big three, the A plus, Network plus, and Security plus, and then also got my CH. I did find that because of my unique background in sales and also help desk and other system admin types of job, I keep getting calls and have been reached out to for those sales type of engineering roles. For whatever reason, like I've never been able to land like a security engineer. I've always been interested in like GRC or, in fact, I just recently interviewed for an IT product specialist at a regional utility company here in Northern California, utilizing Beyond Trust and send that up. So do you have any advice on just trying to get into that side of cybersecurity rather than having this unique background that keeps dumping me into sales engineering per se?
That sometimes it's something as simple as taking a step back
Right.
from it. So you're sales engineer and that's not quite seems to be where you want to go with that, but it's getting the certificates. Like, certifications in cybersecurity, they get your resume seen.
Right.
That you put a bunch of letters behind your name, you get seen, you get called. And when, like, this is probably one of the most important things, because like I've been on probably hundreds of cybersecurity interviews.
Right.
And now you're not just competing with your local batch of cybersecurity engineers. You're usually competing with a much larger pool due to hybrid and remote work environments. So the more remote you want to work, the more people you're competing with for that job. That I'm going to give you the least technical advice that you could probably ever receive for an IT interview.
Mhm.
Know your technical stuff, but make them love you. If
Right.
they love you, and when you're talking with them and you're getting along and you can talk the jargon with them and be their friend for that hour, your chances of getting a job in the field are going to increase dramatically. Because cybersecurity engineer roles, or even most analyst roles, given the large disparity of programs that we use, you can't expect anyone to be a specialist on what button to press where. So
Right.
those interviews tend to be more generalist interviews, and the rest of it is just them getting a feel for you as a person.
Right.
So smile and let them know that you're smiling and you're loving every minute of it.
Right. Right.
Great advice. Awesome. Thanks for your question. We're gonna kind of have to move along here because we got a bunch of questions to try to get to before the top of the hour. So we're going to kind of keep this train moving. But thank you so much for your question, and thanks Zen for answering that student. Next up, we have Victor Simpson. If you want to come off mute and ask your question. Thanks.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, sweet. So my name is Victor Simpson. I'm a recent graduate of NHU with my bachelor's degree in game art and development. My question in general is just for everyone. When it comes to AI assisted technology with also a combination of automated AI, how is that going to be, I guess, maybe helpful for future jobs in IT? If I'm like let's say I'm building up my skills in like programming with the combination of art, but I want to essentially, go on an interview where I have maybe both the skills of using AI and also just my standard skills. How is that gonna, I guess, help me for a potential, hired position if I'm looking to apply for something? Is maybe my question with that.
I'll go ahead and take a stab at that. I would say don't necessarily look for your end job immediately, right? I think one of the most important things is, organizations will find spaces for the right people, get in, show your value, be willing to do all the things that no one else wants to do, learn, absorb, and look for those opportunities once you're in the organization to move around, vertically and horizontally, and let the organization help you along that path as well. I would start with that.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Victor. So next up we have Chris. Chris, if you want to come off mute and ask your question to the panelists.
Hey guys, how's it going? I appreciate all of your time. I've worked basically in like the customer service field for pretty much my whole life. Definitely went in a different direction here. It's just something that I felt I needed to do. But I'm currently enrolled at SNHU going for my bachelor in cybersecurity. I just want to know just, I guess, general advice, because I've been applying just for like help desk roles. Like, are there other positions? And if there are, or even for help desk, like, are there certifications that are pretty much like, I guess, entry level that'll help me with getting those positions?
Security Plus and CEH.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll
and
go
if you're
for
looking
this.
for a help desk, like A+, and I think there's another one in that. I can't remember the name of it right now. Network Plus.
All right. Well, thank
Samantha,
you.
you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say that, this is the failure is part of the process. You will get rejected. That's part of the process. Just don't stop. And whenever you decide to do something, if you want to switch your career, if you want to do something else, you always have to start from the scratch. So you have to be prepared. No, I can be a manager. I can be a top position. I have to start from the scratch. So you just it's just a mindset. You have to set your mind and just keep going, and just and also go for the positions which where they provide trainings, and that really helps. If you go for those positions at the initial stage, you learn, and you also go on the on-job training, and that really helps to grow. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Great advice there. Thanks for your question, Chris. Moving right along. Next up, we have Booker. Go ahead and ask your question, Booker.
Okay. Thank you for taking questions, and thank you for being here. My question is, I'm a service-connected disabled veteran, and my niche is more into healthcare because I'm currently getting my master's in public health. So there are a lot of veterans out there that need, healthcare and health information, and I think James, this is more catered to you as far as, you know, AI and everything, and getting as professionals, we understand AI, but breaking it down in layman terms to the patient and getting them to understand what is being told to them based off of what they're getting from the internet, from the computers, and from all this other information. How do I, as a like, if I wanted to get into the technical side of it to help out veterans, where and how would I go about doing that?
Well, first, thank you for your service. There, you know, from hospital perspectives, most of the community-based hospitals or faith-based hospitals are working with veteran programs. I know we are directly. So I would, you know, certainly reach out that way. Would be an awesome opportunity. Look to the community-based hospitals. The larger chains are probably a little different, but look for, you know, more of that regional sites and hospitals in your community, and you know, really reach out to them. Also reach out to the hospital president, right? So most hospitals, you know, have a standard structure of a hospital president. They probably have gone through a similar program from a, you know, MHA perspective. They're more than willing always to, you know, respond to requests for information and things like that. So I would just reach out and, you know, don't necessarily stop at one. Look for different positions in the organization, from operations or leadership there, and just network with them as possible. Most have reach out programs, though, in the community.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can get to a couple more questions here before the top of the hour. So Sean, go ahead and ask your question. Does anyone have a question for Mona? I think Mona should jump in on one of these. Go ahead, Sean.
I can answer that.
Sean? Okay, maybe you jumped off. We'll keep it going here. Zachary, go ahead and come off mute and ask your question. Yes, we can.
Okay. I am just getting into cybersecurity at SNHU, pursuing my bachelor's degree. I guess my question is towards job search. Should I expect an entry-level role easily out of right after I finish at SNHU, or are there more certifications and trainings that I will need after graduation in order to land an entry-level role?
I can actually answer that at the higher level, not very specific to your field, just as a hiring manager, I can tell you. Definitely, I don't think you need any certification, because if education was a problem or something that was holding you back, you already graduated, so you have that degree. For most part, companies are concerned about experience. So if you cannot get the job you want, try to lower your expectation and aim for something temporary. Maybe you can do a job for a year to add that to your resume. Consider internship, pay or not pay. Consider even volunteer work. Even in some cases, I recommend for people that they really struggle to get that experience, to even do freelancing, be self-employed. You know how valuable that is to a hiring manager, that not only you can do the technical work that you're hiring, but also you know how to talk to customer, you know how to understand the problem, and you know how to go from there to come up with a solution. So the experience is very important, but also know that finding a job within a month or two is really not common. It may happen, but it's not common. There is the 2 to 4 month range that is expected for job hunting, and also depends on the market. Like right now, we have a lot of layoff in big tech companies that make it a little bit harder to find job because they're all out in the market, right? Comes out the fiscal year and the budgeting for each company. So, for example, in our company, starting February, you're going to see probably more jobs because that's the beginning of our fiscal year and the budget is approved. So now we can start opening direct. So the timing is important. Don't ever get disappointed and don't ever think I was rejected by many local and small companies, but got lucky and was hired by a very unknown and large company like Autodesk. So it's really about being in the right place at the right time for the right position. Try to get that experience, but also know 2 to 4 month job hunting is expected.
Okay,
Awesome.
perfect. Thank you so much. That was very helpful.
Thanks, Mona. So I want to be mindful of everyone's time, and we are 2 minutes over top of the hour. But I wanted to kind of close us out a little bit here. And again, thank everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you to our panelists and your time today. And I know there was a ton more questions in there. We could have, been here, all night. But definitely join us on SNHU Connect, and we can continue the conversation there. It's a space for you as a student, where you can kind of get involved with different clubs, professional organizations, different honor societies, events, and connecting with our career networking community from a career services lens. So you can visit us at students.snhuconnect.com and connect with a whole bunch of different pages on there, and we can keep you informed, and again, keep the conversation and the questions going. Again, I want to thank everyone who was involved with this panel tonight, and we will definitely see you on the next one. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and this is us saying good evening. Bye.
Yes. Thank you, Corey. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you.